Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Monster Hunter Wilds weapon tutorial video. So, today we're going over the Charge Blade. Now, it is both a complex and not complex weapon at the same time. I say it's complex because of the order of having to know how to do everything in order to make it work for you. However, once you understand that order, it is a simple weapon to use. And so what I mean by that is, the entire way Charge Blade works is that you need to attack a monster, store files, and then from there decide where you're going to store the files in order to make your weapon even stronger. So, what I mean by that is if you come over here and attack a creature, as you can see, my files have started to glow yellow up there. Now, when you have yellow files, you actually only get 3 of the jars full. However, as you can see, they are now red, and when you have red files, they all get full. Well, this was a bad example because I already had some in there, but there we go. Let me just get rid of these real quick. So, now that I have files, what you can do with them is you can actually, there's a new way that you can store files, which is much more effective. Because the old way is you'd have to go and do one of these maneuvers, and then as you get there, you could put them into your shield like that. However, what we can do now is much simpler. So the way you store files is if you pull right trigger and press B. However, if you pull right trigger and hold B, you actually store them directly into your shield. And you can see my shield up there, icon up there, is now glowing. And then from there, you don't have to get more files in order to charge the sword, but to charge the sword, again, you pull right trigger, press B, but then you hold Y, and you see, you pull it in there, and now your sword is charged as well. Now, you can overcharge this, like so, and that is what you don't want to do. You don't want to charge it too long, because then you get a weaker hit. What you want to do is do this, pull it in there, and as soon as you do that, release it, because you get a much stronger hit. And so, to cover it over all specifically, the best way to get your files charged is to hold B, tap Y, hold B again, because that will always give you red files. And do it again, hold B, press Y, hold B, red files. Now, in this game, you can actually double charge your files. As you can see, now they got little sparks coming out of them. And what that does is it gives you a higher duration on your shield. And the shield is what has to be charged for the weapon to work as it's intended. It's similar to Insect Glaive. It's what unlocks your full moveset, so to speak. And it's also needed for you to enter Savage Axe mode, if I'm not mistaken. And so, but that actually requires you to have a wound on a monster to attack, and so at the moment it's not over pertinent, but we will be going over and discussing it all later. And so, to go over the actual sword and shield mode more, it's relatively simple. You have this combo for your Y attacks, you have this for your B, and I said, you have this, you can charge. Now, any attack that you do can be followed up with B in order to do this maneuvering slide that lets you reposition quite well. So, say you are attacking a monster here and it sidesteps to your right, you can go step, slide, ta-da. So that's Y, B, and you slide around. And that is more or less the basics of the sword and shield portion of it. However, if you are to pull a right trigger and press Y, we go into Axe mode. Now, while you're in Axe mode, you can do a number of things. You can just go over here, swing your sword, you have a 1-2 combo, rising slash, overhead slam. You also have a dash slam attack you can do, and if I remember right, you can do it backwards, yeah. So if you were to press forward on Y, you do that. If you do back and Y, back in relation to the character, you will do that backwards thing. Like so. And that can be good for repositioning if you know a monster's about to come towards you. Now, the other thing you can do in axe mode is you can do element discharges. As you can see, when you do them, you consume files. So, if you go amp discharge, if you do an element discharge, you eventually go into your amped element discharge. You can also do that by pressing Y and B at the same time, like so. Which, as you can see, does a series of file explosions, and it's pretty cool. Oh, my target turned into a bone pile. I didn't know that could happen. That's actually kind of neat, though. That will be part of a different video, now that I've learned that. So, I guess that's the game's way of telling me I need to go and find myself a test subject. A volunteer. And so, as you can see, we have found ourselves a volunteer. So, the way I typically like to open attack is just walk up to it and start trying to get these all charged up. Alrighty, and now that we have our sword and our shield both charged up, as you see, each time we smack the monster, it will result in a file explosion. And the different file types give you a different effect. Impact files will result in you having a chance to KO the monster if you hit it in the head. That's another important thing there. So if you hit the monster too much without storing your files, you essentially overload the weapon with too much energy, and then it gets to where it will not take anymore and has to actually do something with all of said energy. Anyway, heck it, we're here. So, as you can see, now that I have put myself into Savage Axe mode, if I hold down the attack button as I go and attack the Chatacabra, I get more additional hits. Yep, see that coming. However, I'm sure what everyone's wanting to see here is this right here. If you do an amped discharge and then do the same input, so if you go YB, YB, you will perform the amped element discharge. And what the amped element discharge does is it shoots that... the super amped element discharge shoots that wave and lets you do a big chunk of damage, as well as just generally hitting the monster quite hard. Now, what I should be doing here that I'm not doing a good job of is trying to get my files stored and then overcharging them. Because, for whatever reason, when you overcharge them, you can then go into axe mode, and when you do your when you do your element discharges, it doesn't actually consume a file all at once. You can see they're lasting quite a bit longer. But whenever you do a super amped element discharge, it consumes all your files no matter what. And so, to that extent, you're technically actually better off to get into the amp state, use all of your files but one to get all of your energy expelled. And then save your super amped for very last. Like so. Also, you should be doing a much better job of keeping your stuff charged than what I'm doing here. But you understand the gist of it. And blocking. Give me that tongue. But, as you can see, even when you don't play well, you can do quite a lot of damage. You know, he died in 4 minutes with that. So, Charge Blade is a very funny weapon. But, as I said, hit monster, store files, charge shield, charge sword, attack monster, savage axe, attack monster more, smack it till it dies. Recharge when necessary. That is the gist of it. And so, yeah. That is the rundown for Charge Blade. Thank you all very much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to let me know. And I will see you all in that next one. Bye-bye.